Amidst the deafening chaos of the Pelennor Fields, despair clung to the very air like a suffocating shroud. The ground churned beneath the relentless stampede of Sauron's forces, a bog of mire and blood that swallowed the fallen without mercy. The sky, a canvas of darkness painted with the screams of the dying, offered no solace from the horror below. In the heart of the fray, figures moved with a grim determination, their faces twisted in agony and fear. Men fought on with a stubborn resolve born of desperation, their swords slick with the blood of their comrades. Each blow landed with a sickening thud, the screams of the dying echoing in their ears like a macabre symphony. But for all their bravery, they were but lambs to the slaughter, their efforts futile against the relentless onslaught of the enemy. Orcs and trolls swarmed like a plague of locusts, their grotesque forms a nightmare made flesh. Limbs were rent asunder, entrails spilled upon the blood-soaked earth as the stench of death hung heavy in the air. And amidst the carnage, Sauron looked down upon the battlefield with a twisted satisfaction. In his eyes, victory was assured, his power unchallenged, and his enemies broken and scattered. The eye of Sauron glowed with a malevolent light, its gaze sweeping over the horror below with a hunger that knew no bounds. As Sauron's attention remained fixed on the tumult of the Pelennor Fields, a covert force brewed within the depths of Mordor. Hidden from his sight, this enigma began to coalesce, its purpose veiled in shadow. Yet amid the gloom, a faint glimmer of potential emerged, a subtle whisper of a revelation that could reshape destiny itself. In the desolate expanse of Mordor, where the jagged peaks of Mount Doom pierced the ashen sky, a stirring awakened the ancient malevolence that lurked within the shadows. From the towering fortress of Barad-dûr, wreathed in shadow and flame, Sauron, the Dark Lord, cast his baleful gaze upon the lands of Middle-earth once more. With each passing day, his power waxed, an ominous specter, rising to reclaim dominion over the realms of men. The very air thrummed with the palpable weight of his presence, a suffocating darkness that smothered hope and choked the breath from mortal lungs. From the jagged spires of Barad-dûr, his malevolent eye, a fiery beacon of malice, pierced the veil of night, casting a pall of dread across the desolate landscape. The land groaned under the weight of his influence, twisted and warped by the seething currents of his ancient malice. Driven by an insatiable hunger for power, Sauron's relentless pursuit of the One Ring consumed him, his thoughts consumed by visions of conquest and dominion. Forged in the fires of Mount Doom, the elusive artifact held the key to his ultimate triumph, a triumph that would plunge the free peoples of Middle-earth into an age of darkness and despair. Scouring the windswept plains and mist-shrouded forests, his agents ransacked the land in search of the ring, their eyes aflame with the fervor of their master's will. From the rumbling ruins of ancient kingdoms to the hidden glens and forgotten tombs, they pursued their quarry with a single-minded determination, heedless of the cost. In the ancient halls of Rivendell, illuminated by the soft glow of ancient artifacts and the flickering light of candles, the White Council convened amidst an atmosphere thick with tension. Gandalf's words lingered in the air like a weighty fog, his warnings of Sauron's resurgence reverberating off the stone walls, instilling a sense of unease among the gathered council members. As the days grew shorter and the nights darker, the weight of the decisions ahead bore down heavily upon the shoulders of the wise and the powerful. Each passing moment brought with it a creeping sense of dread as the looming threat of Sauron's return cast a long shadow over the hearts of all who dwelled in Middle-earth. As the world teetered on the edge of oblivion, the fate of Middle-earth hung in the balance. The forces of light and darkness converged, the imminent clash of armies casting a long shadow over the land. Shrouded by tumult and uncertainty, a fragile hope clung to the promise of a dawn yet to come, even as the specter of Sauron's dominion loomed larger on the horizon. Upon the desolate plains of Pelennor, the ancient city of Minas Tirith stood as a lone bastion of flickering hope in the encroaching abyss. Its towering white walls, once gleaming in the sunlight, now bore the scars of impending doom, a feeble attempt to defy the suffocating darkness that loomed ever closer, threatening to consume all in its path. The air hung heavy with the threat of death and despair as the defenders of Gondor braced themselves for the onslaught. Aragorn, heir to the sacred throne of Gondor, stood amidst the grim assembly, his presence a fleeting beacon of courage in the face of inevitable anguish. As the first tendrils of dawn clawed their way over the horizon, the vast host of Mordor descended upon the Pelennor Fields like a ravenous swarm of locusts, their twisted forms silhouetted against the sickly glow of the rising sun. Orcs and trolls, their grotesque visages twisted into snarls of malice, marched alongside the barbaric Haradrim and Easterlings, their war cries piercing the morning air like a symphony of madness and despair. The striking of steel against steel rang out like a macabre dirge, the forces of light and darkness locked in a brutal dance of death upon the desecrated soil. The defenders of Minas Tirith fought with a frenzied determination, their spirits teetering on the precipice of despair as they faced the relentless onslaught of Sauron's minions, each blow bringing them closer to the brink of oblivion. In the thick of the frenzy and carnage, the Nazgul rode forth, their fell beasts gliding effortlessly over the blood-soaked fields. Their presence cast a pall of terror over the defenders of Minas Tirith, their piercing shrieks sending shivers of dread down the spines of even the bravest warriors. The shadow of death loomed large, claiming the lives of countless brave warriors who stood defiant in the face of annihilation. Yet, even as despair threatened to engulf them, a flickering ember of hope refused to be extinguished, a feeble flame that struggled to illuminate the suffocating darkness that threatened to consume all. As the battle raged on, the fate of Middle-earth hung in the balance, the outcome veiled in uncertainty as the forces of light and darkness waged war upon the desecrated soil of Pelennor. And amidst the swirling whirlpool of encroaching defeat, the defenders of Minas Tirith stood as grim sentinels of defiance, their valor and sacrifice a fleeting testament to the indomitable spirit of the Free Peoples in the face of unrelenting horror. Amidst the deafening clash of swords and the thunderous rumble of war machines on the Pelennor Fields, a shadowy mission unfolded in the heart of Mordor. Frodo, burdened with the weight of the One Ring, and Sam, his loyal companion, embarked on a perilous journey into the heart of darkness to destroy the ring and thwart Sauron's evil plans. Their quest was shrouded in secrecy, their small figures barely discernible amidst the swirling mists and rugged terrain. Through the desolate wastes and treacherous passes of Mordor, where the parched earth seemed to groan in agony beneath their feet, the two hobbits pressed forward, their resolve unshaken by the horrors that surrounded them. Towering peaks of obsidian rock loomed overhead, their jagged spires obscured by thick clouds of ash and smoke, while rivers of molten lava cut through the charred landscape like veins of fire. As they approached the dreaded Mount Doom, the very crucible of Sauron's power, the air grew thick with the noxious stench of sulfur and brimstone. The ground beneath their feet trembled with each step, as if it recoiled from their presence. And yet, undeterred by the looming threat of annihilation, Frodo and Sam pressed ever onward, their hearts set on the impossible task that lay ahead. At the foot of the fiery mountain, amidst the searing heat and choking fumes that emanated from its gaping maw, Frodo and Sam faced their greatest trial. The weight of the One Ring bore down upon Frodo, threatening to crush his spirit and devour his very soul. Yet, in a twist of fate, it was the wretched creature Gollum who intervened, his rasping voice a whisper of madness in the howling winds. In a frenzied struggle atop the precipice, Frodo and Gollum battled for possession of the ring, their figures silhouetted against the roiling clouds of smoke and flame. At last, it was Frodo who emerged victorious, though not by his own doing. Gollum, with the ring, tumbled recklessly into the fiery abyss, undoing the power of Sauron at once and sealing his fate. Unbeknownst to the Dark Lord, his reign of terror was brought to an abrupt and unforeseen end by the actions of two humble hobbits. As the fires of Mount Doom erupted in a cataclysmic explosion, the very foundations of Barad-dûr trembled and cracked, and Sauron's citadel crumbled to dust before the eyes of his astonished minions. Despite the chaos and despair of war, hope flickered to life once more in the hearts of the defenders, a beacon of light amidst the encroaching darkness. And as the sun rose upon a new day, the free peoples of Middle-earth stood united, their spirits unbroken and their resolve unyielding in the face of whatever trials lay ahead. Amongst the desolation of the battlefield, where the earth bore the scars of battle and the air was heavy with the stench of death, the survivors of the great conflict gathered to mourn their losses and celebrate their unlikely victory. The once vibrant plains now lay in ruin, strewn with the wreckage of war, splintered weapons, shattered armor, and the broken bodies of fallen warriors, their lifeblood staining the ground beneath the fading light of the setting sun. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the scarred landscape, the survivors worked tirelessly to rebuild what had been lost. Amidst the rubble and debris, where the ghosts of fallen heroes whispered in the wind, weary faces toiled with grim determination, a tenacity fueled by the flickering flames of hope that burned bright within their hearts. For though the road ahead would be long and arduous, they knew that each agonizing step was one moment closer to a brighter future. Yet, with the somber reflections on the sacrifices made and the silent vigils held for the fallen, whispers of a hidden mission began to spread among the wise. Tales spoke of two unassuming halflings who had ventured forth into the heart of darkness, their quest shrouded in secrecy and their fate unknown to all but a select few. In hushed tones, the survivors spoke of Frodo, of the Shire, and Samwise, his companion, the unlikely heroes whose journey had led them to the fiery depths of Mount Doom, the very heart of Sauron's domain. As the survivors reflected on the aftermath of the battle, they came to a profound realization. The clash of armies, while pivotal in the bloody war, had unwittingly served as a distraction for the Dark Lord. Unaware of the peril within his own borders, Sauron had no inkling of the daring quest within his own walls. The sacrifices made on the fields of Pelennor and across the lands of the Free Peoples had unintentionally diverted his attention, allowing the two hobbits to journey deep into the heart of darkness, unnoticed. In the quiet moments that followed, as the dark cloud of malice blew away to the west and the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, a sense of awe and wonder swept through the land. For though the true nature of Sauron's downfall remained shrouded in mystery, the journey of Frodo and Sam stood as a beacon of hope, a testament to the enduring power of courage, sacrifice, and the indomitable spirit of the Free Peoples. While the survivors gazed out upon the scarred landscape, their hearts filled with both sorrow and hope, knowing that though the road ahead would be long and arduous, the light of a new dawn was breaking on the horizon, a dawn heralded by the triumph of good over evil and the promise of a brighter tomorrow for all who dwell in the realms of Middle-earth. Embark on an unexpected journey into the mysterious and wondrous tales of Tolkien's enchanting world. Subscribe and ring the notification bell for a journey filled with wonder and discovery.